Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this edition of Seeing Beyond and Through with Monty. Today, we're going to get into the very controversial comments that the ex-wife of Taye Diggs made. His ex-wife is Broadway star Idina Menzel. And she made some news here lately because she's making a claim that it was the black community that was the culprits in the demise of her marriage. And she goes on to insinuate that that outside influence heavily impacted her marriage to Taye Diggs. Now, before I go on, I want you to play or pay attention to this clip in which I'm going to play. I'm going to play a short clip of the meaty part of the main topic, and then I'm going to play the long clip so you can get an idea as to what she actually said.
It seemed like there was disappointment in the community with him because he was married to a little white Jewish girl.
Yeah. Taye Diggs is who you're talking about when you speak of your ex, and you met doing Rent together. I remember in high school there's a thing called a showmance, and that's when you get a crush on your leading man, and or your leading lady, and
it's not supposed to last.
It's not supposed to last, and yet you had a showmance that turned into a marriage.
Yes,
in
and
which
a
you
child.
had a child, a beautiful boy, Walker,
and then a divorce.
But
16 years later.
Yeah, the fact that both of you are actors, and one is having, first of all, you both were incredibly successful, but one is having a surge of success. Yeah. How did that affect
there's lots.
things?
It's very complicated. I mean, very supportive of each other always.
Of course.
So excited for him. The thing that came into play more, I would say, and he's talked about it too, is the interracial aspect of it. Because we were never, when you're in the theater, it's just not a thing. We all love each other and sleep with each other, and we're best friends with whoever wants to be, whatever sexual orientation.
The theater community.
Yeah, but when you leave that cocoon, that bubble, and now in his case, he's people's 50 most beautiful people, or he's on the cover of Essence and Ebony, and being interviewed by all of these black journalists, and I think he had his own stuff to deal with that, and it seemed like there was disappointment in the community with him because he was married to a little white Jewish girl from some show that we don't even remember anymore. And so I took that on too, Anyway, that's stuff that we had to deal with. So it's less about being successful and more about just that kind of stuff,
And it's hard because, here you have two theater kids, and then all of a sudden you're going to red carpets and Hollywood events. And
can we get a picture of him by himself?
Right, 100%. When Wicked happened, that was a huge moment for you, and then I think you were on the rise in a way that you hadn't been before in your career. But also, I wonder what was that like for Taye and you and your relationship.
He was relieved, probably, and happy and proud of me, and he was always so supportive and probably relieved, so he didn't have to feel like he was overshadowing in some way. Or
okay, so you heard Idina Menzel, and let me just tell you this much: I have a problem with what she stated. I found her comment to be very passive-aggressive and very racist, because with such statements, she's making a point that somehow it was the black community, and it is the black community, that has a problem with interracial unions. Now, granted, there are some black people who do have a problem with interracial unions, but you cannot tell me that there are not white people who have a problem with interracial unions also. And keep one thing in mind: it is the white community who wrote in miscegenation laws that prevented black people and white people from marrying. So with the way that she's talking, and if you listen to her talking points, it's almost coming off like it was basically the black community. And she's insinuating that somehow the white community has no issues with interracial unions. They're fully supportive of interracial unions. They give their full blessings to interracial unions. And we know that that is not the case at all. But for her to go ahead and blame the black community, to me, it shows a tinge of racism there. Now, I do want to say one thing in regards to blaming people or blaming a community. If you have a strong foundation, if you have strong people that is rooted in faith, rooted in themselves, they know who they are, they're very mature, outside forces cannot affect a relationship. Outside forces can try, but the only way that your relationship can be affected is if you allow it. So this tells me that they did not have a very strong foundation in the beginning or during their marriage. And it seems to me that she wants to blame other sources instead of accepting the fact that maybe your man got tired of you. Maybe he just didn't want you anymore. The fantasy of being with a white woman, the fetishization, maybe he had a low self-esteem, lack of self-love. And that fantasy could have worn off. The fetishization could have worn off. Maybe he got a stronger sense of self-identity that sometimes happened. And you were no longer put on a pedestal. He could have realized that this is not who I want to spend the rest of my life with. Hence now he's with, I guess, a biracial black woman, April Jones. But the idea of her blaming the black community, it rubs me the wrong way. It just shows that she's unwilling to accept the fact that it was within your union. Solid foundation, two solid people. No outside forces can tamper with that. It cannot break that. No, that is something that happened within. And I'm sure that there were a lot of other issues going on with that. Now she's making a claim that outside forces of the black community were the culprits in the demise of her marriage. But here's the problem with that. You have gay couples, interracial gay couples, who've been together years. They don't have a problem with that. And I bring up interracial gay couples is because they're going to face just as much scrutiny as an interracial couple. They're going to get it from both sides. They're going to get people condemning their unions. These gay and lesbian couples are able to survive that. It has nothing to do with you being in an interracial union, or even for this matter of fact, a lesbian union. If your relationship is solid, a good foundation, two people are strong, they can weather that. Outside forces condemning your unions, gossiping about your unions, giving you frowns, showing their disapproval, that's not going to bring apart a strong union. It's not going to unravel a solid foundation. So therefore, what happened to her marriage had nothing to do with the black community. It had everything to do with her or him, both of them, probably allowing it to affect them. They felt some type of a way. It just shows right there that they were not rooted strongly as people themselves. It shows right there that they were unprepared to even be in a union like that. For her to make a statement like that, it completely shows that it was a union that she should have never have gotten into in the first place. In any type of a union that is outside of the norm, whether it be interracial, whether it be gay, lesbian, or whatever, you can't expect darts to be thrown your way. You can't expect disapproval. You can't expect people not agreeing with what you are doing. You can't expect condemnation. That is a result of a person going into a relationship maturely, expecting things like that. No relationship is a fairy tale. Anything outside of the norm is going to be even less of a fairy tale. You know that you're going to have things that are going to come your way. You're going to face a lot of shit from the world. You have to be prepared to ride that storm. You have to be prepared to navigate yourself and your partner into calmer waters. And it shows that she was unable to do that. So the idea that she's blaming the black community, to me, that's just a cop-out. It seems to me that she's very ignorant about what a relationship is and how outside influences cannot affect or undo or unravel a very strong bond, a very strong union with two very strong people. That's pretty much it, ladies and gentlemen. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, that is another edition of Sin Beyond and Through with Monty, and I will see you all beyond and through.